This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts. Welcome to Body Count, a history podcast.
Guys, we're going to go ahead and do our intro today. First thing, despite Bethany sniggering like a B word in the background. Hello and welcome to Body Count, the podcast where we believe history doesn't repeat itself. It rhymes, and a proud member of the Big Heads Podcast Network. We're here to show you don't hate history. You just hate the way it was taught to you. Only rule when we choose a topic, someone or a lot of someone's died. We give you the series of events in a narrative fashion, and by the end, correlate said story with current events. Now, I'm not PBS, Ken Burns, or Dan Carlin. If you want a Hoover-esque, just the facts, ma'am, history podcast, we're not going to be for you, i.e., there will be analysis, opinions, and quite frankly, this is not a lecture. My opinions are my own. Know that I hold my co-hosts verbally hostage. Direct your hate at me, folks, where it belongs. It said tragedy plus time equals comedy. Know that we giggle at some occasionally rough subject matter. We are not actively trying to offend anyone. You've been warned. If you're okay with all of those prerequisites, I'm your host, Jessica Banner, and I'm joined today by my co-host,
Bethany Skelton. Hey.
And guess what, guys?
We have a guest.
Yay! Introduce yourself, James.
I am James Wiley from Riot House Entertainment. And I also do a podcast called Deniable Assets.
Deniable Assets. I like it.
Basically, guys.
Sounded so professional, especially since the last hour we've been talking. You did not sound that way.
You're so fucking professional in your intro.
Oh my gosh. This recording is going very well.
So far, it's gone very much to our standard of ass clownery that our listeners have come to expect.
And love, for some reason.
And love for some reason. Basically, I accosted earlier while everybody was on the call a UPS guy with what a big deal I am. So
without saying it. I'm kind of
a big deal. That was fun for everybody. But really quickly, let me go ahead and double plug James's whole thing. He has a great company that James, tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so Riot House Entertainment, we just started as of 2 days ago.
Well, that's exciting. We like to have you straight off the presses on this podcast if we can get it.
I love it.
It's a multimedia company that we've been kind of working on for about the last probably 6 to 8 months putting together.
Oh, wait, you're in charge of it then? That's like your thing that you started?
Yeah. My partner
cool.
who does Deniable Assets with me is kind of our head of creative. My wife does all of our marketing material and logos, basically anything that you see on the internet that has pictures and layouts and words on it. It's probably done by her.
Awesome.
Really quickly, i.e. Bethany, they're far more professional than we are.
My husband is like, so how long are you going to be today?
Like, you two twats take up our whole days with like all this podcasting guru and you're screaming about whatever it is in history that you're upset about. That's pretty much what we get. So I'm really excited. But you also have a podcast, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, real quick, the big thing about Riot House is we're trying to dispel toxicity and be more inclusive in the gaming and nerd culture.
Yes.
If there's one thing about the nerd culture that I have seen is that 90% of us are white bearded neck bearded dudes who
Hashtag
feel like our
toxic
opinions are more
AF.
important than and that's one thing we want to get away from.
I think you need to get in touch with my husband because he's one of them.
But I mean, that's great to me because I know we have a lot of listeners and we have a lot of followers that are very much in that community, and they kind of feel the same thing. So I think that is cool AF. Really quickly, James, I will tell you, we are trying to cut our language problem on this podcast. So when you swear, and we encourage you to swear, we will still scream swear at you.
Okay.
Curse!
Okay.
Or cuss or curse or whatever occurs to us in that moment.
All right.
We
so
will
do we need to set up a
scream at you.
GoFundMe for you guys? It's like a swear jar, essentially.
Oh shit! I
don't even know.
My money
I'm
would
gonna
go in
be
that jar.
honest. I'm gonna be honest, and our listeners are gonna go, "Oh, that's true to form." Of course, Jessica doesn't know what a GoFundMe is because I know.
I had to explain. Freaking, what was it? It was a dating app. What was it called? Oh my god, I really blanked.
Tinder. When I made up the dating profile for Yvonne the Terrible, you were like, "Oh, so just a Tinder profile."
You mean like tindering a fire? Like what?
Yeah, Tinder. You mean like what you start a fire with? What is Tinder and how does it work?
I had to explain that one to her. That was fun.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite things to look at on the internet is historical figures' Tinder profiles.
Is that a thing?
Oh,
That's
yeah,
a thing?
an entire subset.
How do you not know this, Jessica? I know it. It's hilarious.
There's a difference between history and the common parlance of modern times.
Well, guys, I will tell you, I live only in my mountain of primary sources, which is currently, I'm not kidding, I'm looking over, it's a stack of documents that is literally making a side table for my podcast room couch.
Nerd. I mean, love you.
I don't know. I don't understand modern society. If I did, but at the same time, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh my God, I am not meant for this era. Yes, you are, because you wouldn't survive in a previous one.
No, you would be murdered or a whore. So
exactly.
Or murdered
exactly
for being a whore.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like those
They're
same
one of
people that
six.
are like, oh my God, I love ancestry. Like, I'm all about, I want to go visit where my people come from. So you want to visit a non-existent hovel in Eastern Europe is what you're telling me. Because I promise you, they keep a real close watch on who used to be the royal family. Like, I promise you're not a secret Habsburg, you genealogy twats. Like, you are not one. They keep a real close watch on the Habsburgs, believe it or not. Like, it always makes me laugh. So I don't understand. But you also do a podcast on top of your awesome company of inclusion in gaming. So you also do a podcast, right?
Yeah, it's called Deniable Assets. It's a little more focused than Riot House ever could be. It is a in-character podcast, informational and audio dramas that is set in the tabletop gaming world of Shadowrun.
Cool.
Which
cool,
Shadowrun is the dystopian future that we're all just very slowly creeping towards.
Right, like we've put on our goose stepping boots and we're marching toward it.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God.
Speaking of goose
I know, bro.
boots,
Hold on. I didn't realize that James shared a link in our chat here. Honey, you need to literally back up and look like it's
I'm just
what it would
amazed
look
that
like
you
if
both can
historical
find
figures
it.
had Tinder. If historical figures had Tinder, it's I'm dying. I'm dying right now. Come Together. It's a song and it's a promise.
I'm not
by
saying that we're not going to share it. We're going to share it. I just thought I was really...
Marie Antoinette. Head game strong, you know. You want that cake. I can't even right now.
See, this is what I do. I come on and derail podcasts completely.
Oh my God.
That's what I love. That's what I love, to immediately lose control of my own podcast. It happens every time we have a guest on.
The Bob Marley one is funny. It says about Bob, please pass left. No, swipe. I left. Oh my God, John F. Kennedy, I'd love to spend some time on your grassy knoll. I can't right now.
Stop it. Sorry, okay. Swear.
He started it. He's totally started it. I'm sorry, but he did.
I was being real original if I was like, what if Yvonne the Terrible had a serious dating profile? I didn't realize it was a thing.
Oh God, I'm crying.
Although I'm going to believe that there is not an Yvonne the Terrible dating profile, because I don't think humanity is adept enough to create one. So
you're wrong. And you're wrong.
Well, to kind of help get things back on track, I mean, there is one that does say love traveling the world and conquering it because he's an amazing Führer in bed.
Hey.
So we're back on track and we're focused. Really quickly, let me get through this, you two ass clowns. Sorry, curse. Let me do my damn housekeeping. I do housekeeping every session. So we are part of the Big Heads Podcast Network and a great collection of podcasts. We're super excited, despite my general sarcastic tone. Please go and check them out on social media. Everyone, please go to the website. Also, you'll find us there, and you'll find a number of great podcasts. You can also get, apparently, our merch there. I wasn't entirely sure we had any, but apparently we do. Yay. Somebody made some up for us. So that's exciting.
Way to sound excited.
No, I am excited. I just didn't know about it, or I would have plugged it previously. But more importantly, if you love this show, please go and give us those 5 stars on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can say whatever the hell you want. We're not too picky about it, but it makes us feel good. No doubt about it. But also, it really, really helps us out on the business end of this podcast, as you can see by our advertisements. Now, to that note, we're about to get our Patreon back up and running after our hiatus and after all of our hard work on the Romanovs. And we do want to hang ourselves. I'm not going to lie. It was very, very stressful.
Which there was hangings that did happen.
There were things that did happen. So we're going to be doing some bonus episodes like these, interviews, and also just side body counts. So we'll be sure to keep you updated via social media.
We did do a recap of the first 2 episodes because of the fact that Dr. Warren had to leave us. I had so many questions. We did record some of those questions. So I think that's where we're going to put that one, right? Because we recorded that. It just
after I strenuously edited it because we were very, very drunk. I'm not going to
but I was so confused. And I needed answers.
Well, we were all confused, quite frankly. But it is what it is. But be sure to follow us on social media. We'll be coming back with just fun body counts, or more like things that contribute to body counts, things that we can't follow on our show series or our interview series that we put out on the show. Sure. You fuck right off. Curse.
You'll get used to it.
Curse. All right. So I got through the bullshit that I was supposed to get through, 30 minutes ago. So is everyone ready?
Yes.
To start our story. James, you ready?
Da.
I almost spit my beer myself. What an apropos answer.
Whoa.
Yeah. All right, everyone. We're going to get into, and I feel like this episode needs an explanation because I will let you know. Normally, we let you know why history is important.
Mm-hmm.
We did not do that this episode. This is purely for fun and for our enjoyment and our guests' enjoyment before we get back to Dr. Warren's bullshit. So know that we're still taking our Romanov break, and we will finish with Peter the Great soon. We absolutely promise Peter is coming, but we have to finish a few other things first. We are doing this short episode kind of as some interesting filler as we prep for part 3 of our exploration with Dr. Warren. Dr. Spook, Churchill, and the Islamic world. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Warren's a busy man, covering himself in his academic medals and being smart
in the real world.
Being smart all over his desk, whatever he does in his downtime. We don't know.
Everywhere. He's being smart everywhere.
He's just being smart on the walls and the ceilings. We don't know. So we're waddling.
Does this podcast not do phrasing? Is that not a thing for y'all?
No, because Bethany hasn't seen Archer, so we can't do
phrasing. Come on.
I know.
Exactly.
I'm behind the times. Sorry.
She doesn't watch anything often. So we're whiling away the hours on our weekly podcast because we do have to put shit out weekly. Seriously though, Warren's been great. We can't wait for the third part. We might actually make it to the Second World War this time, guys, and we'll really be excited if we do that. But you all know how great he is. You know how great he is. You don't need me to pay freaking lip service more than we already do. He's been verbally blown enough on this show for the moment. Just really for real, quickly, the last Warren blow I'm going to do. Head over to Amazon and buy Churchill and the Islamic World by Dr. Warren Doctor. Doctor, available in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle. So, Bethany and I, therefore, are joined by our friend James to do this little mini-sode thing today. And I say mini-sode, but it will probably end up being as long as the others. I'm not going to lie.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. We intended for it to be shorter, but the road to hell is copiously paved in our good intentions by this point. You guys already know.
At least we're going there together. Everybody hop in the car. Free. Here we go.
And I'm sorry, James, that
road trip.
We're taking this straight to hell with it on today's
I've already had an express ticket booked for you.
Yay!
Well, we'll save you a seat, buddy. because we are right there at the head of the caboose simply by existing and doing this damn podcast.
So if you guys are in the caboose, then that means I had to come back from first class. All right, I got
Oh my God. Okay.
Sorry, swear. Bethany, why are you not screaming swear with me? That's your job also.
I don't know. I'm kind of drunk already, so I'm not paying attention.
I'd say we're both well down that drain as our viewers know and expect. So really quickly.
Yes.
I want to preface what we're going to cover today before we start just chatting about it, because it has the potential to be offensive. So we get a lot of suggestions about what we should cover on this show, and they are endless, and I'm taking them all into account. Please don't think I'm not, but I'm a little backed up right now because people are surprisingly keen to come on this show and plug their shit on this Piddly podcast, which I'm as shocked as you guys are, listeners. But I also have some funny people with niche, really niche history knowledge that I want to grab to be on here with some series that we have in mind as well.
And I want to learn shit. So, I mean, I'm here for the learning. I'm here for it.
Okay, but we have one very common suggestion that I promise I will never, ever do. And that, understandably, people want to know more about. And that's the Holocaust. That is something I'm never going to cover.
Right. And honestly, when you mentioned this, I was like, first of all, if there's anything in history that I actually have somewhat vast knowledge about, it's going to be this, because of the fact that it's been drilled into me since I can remember. Like, are we going to Anne Frank this shiz, or what are we doing here?
It's that comment right there that tells me we should never cover it.
Right.
Never cover it.
So when you said something about it, I was like, wait, really? This is going to kind of like a refresher. I'm going to be back in high school. But when you said what we were going to do, I was like, oh, okay.
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 It's one of those things like 9/11 and the Armenian genocide. You're never going to hear me talk about them. So there are literally 3 things in the wide world of history sports that I will never cover. Now, I say in our disclaimer, we do giggle at rough subject matter. And to keep from being weird and crying about it for an hour, don't ever think like you can put a narrative on things like the Holocaust or anything close to it. We lack the emotional maturity or gravitas to ever do it in the way that it needs to be done. So understand those things, period. Now, I will in future cover battles of World War II. I'll cover policy, figures, and I touch up to it, but we're never going to do a Holocaust episode. But as you know from Edward VIII, we are willing very much to get adjacent to it. And an attempt to get the suggestions out of our DMs. That's what we're kind of doing today, getting adjacent to it, because there are very few body counts in the annals of history that rival the 15 plus million people. Let's face it, like we already covered Genghis Khan, like the Holocaust the second after that, or I don't even want to call just the Holocaust, just general Nazi war crimes. Or at very least, it usually takes in all of the Nazi atrocities. So we will be doing something we have never before done on this show. We have had direct body counts, long-term body counts, unidentifiable body counts, and you're right, Bethany, theoretical body counts. But we've never covered contributing factors to a body count. So today will be a rundown of contributing factors, i.e., one contributing factor to the most notorious body count of the 20th century, if not all of time in remembrance, aka Nazi war crimes, more specifically Hitler's war crimes. Now, when you're the ramrod of the Reich, those bodies are ultimately at your door. It eventually we want to call it exactly. So we're going to call it the body count of the drug use of Adolf Hitler today, guys. A man we quite frankly did not wish to have a plan, but unfortunately he very much did.
So hold on. I have to ask James and you both. Is it Adolf or Adolf?
Adolf.
Okay.
But you can say Adolf, it doesn't matter. We're not
No,
German.
I want to hear James's
or Austrian.
Here. Oh, I've always called him Adolf.
Adolf. Okay. That's what I thought. It was Adolf Hitler, but you've said it like 800 different times, so I'm slightly confused already.
Adolf?
Is it? And now you're rolling your tongue on it. I'm like, Adolf?
Bethany, how many times have you done German ever? I'm going to call it the Berghof because that is its name. You know that I like to correctly pronounce my German. But you can call him Adolf, like whatever you want to say.
Adolf. It's like, hey, I'm going to go a golf today.
You're both children, and I hate you so much right now.
Hey, it was a dumb joke, but it still landed.
Yeah.
And it struck. Good for her.
Shut up.
Oh my God, I'm so drunk and I'm so excited for this. So now we've gotten through all our introductions, why I want to cover it, and why I do want to warn everybody. We're not trying to make light of a situation. We're not trying to shit all over a situation. Please spare us your DMs. We're just trying to talk about maybe. And again, I've told you, today's show has no purpose to the modern world. We're just telling a story.
Yay!
Talking about drugs, baby.
Let's talk about passing out. Shit.
Everybody at this point, feel free to interrupt me. I'm through my excuses, my whatever. We're just going to talk about it. So, there was no viable excuse for this monster at all. We can more than agree on that. But like what we're talking about today is more why. And
it's not like he woke up one day and was like, "Hey, I'm going to murder all the Jews." Like I don't feel like that.
Genocide tonight. That just seems like a Friday night plan.
Like I had a dream. I had a dream last night, and I think I'm going to follow through with it.
You're an artist. I don't know. You deserve to die today. Oh, you're gay? I find that offensive to me. You can't create Aryan children. Like, you don't just wake up with that shit in your brain. You're exactly right. But the thing is, we can't even say to Hitler, it was a different time. It's not like the Russians and Ukrainians who were cutletting and eating children in the 1500s, like in our Romanov series.
Stringing them up like Hanukkah popcorn strings.
Although the Hanukkah popcorn string children, I can argue that wasn't a different enough time for that behavior.
No. That was like to be expected.
What this is today
just another Wednesday.
It's just another Russian thing, and we got to put up with that. But the more that you look into like WTF could possibly lead to all of that, a pure unadulterated evil insanity. So what we want to do is take a look at what made the Fuhrer so fucking insane as to think, I'll summarily and in the worst way possible, execute 15 plus million people. And I'm going to tell you guys, drugs.
So
it's one hell of a drug.
Drugs made him furious.
Knee slapper. That felt like a dad joke. That was awesome.
Slapper. I love it.
Blank slapper. That's a goose duck. Goose slapper.
Goose slapper. No, actually, truckfuls of insane drugs. You're exactly right. And I can't argue that that's definitely going to help you on your way. So if whatever they suck down in Florida makes people go,
I only laugh because I'm neighbors to them.
Whatever they suck down there makes people go all patient zero and like not on their neighbors' faces, right? Let's consider what upwards of like 80 or so similar drugs of that caliber will do to a psycho with a tiny penis and a tiny mustache like complex.
You know what? Back then they didn't step on the drugs. That was pure drugs.
Oh my God, you have no idea. There was no Colombian stepping on it, and then a Florida cartel, and then a Texas cartel. No. Only the best for the Fuhrer.
Oh my God, I'm freaking crying again.
I mean, he's snorting pure scaled cocaine up his tutor. Like, who knows what he was into.
Oh God.
Well, if anybody knows, it's probably me, so I should probably start the story. So, guys, if you have a point of contention, interrupt my ass anytime. So, Hitler was not the most robustly healthy man on earth at any point. It should be understood.
His unstable already, right? I think that's what I've read before, right?
Oh,
he was already kind of like a.
Do you think somebody that has the propensity to kill 15 million people doesn't have a Ted Bundy problem? Like,
James, do you want to cue on this serial killer instinct?
First of all, that's offensive. Second of all, maybe. I mean,
maybe.
See, your answers say it, okay?
It is what it is. So his ill health included stomach cramps, diarrhea, and the craziest fucking gas. Oh, curse. The craziest gas you could possibly imagine, guys.
I need some Pepto-Bismol.
So he had a perpetual hangover, is what I'm hearing.
Natural.
In a way, but it's almost beyond that. Like, I would say maybe he had IBS or Crohn's disease even. Who knows?
Or just
that's not what they were diagnosing the Fuhrer with. I can promise you that.
Probably diagnosed him with bees in his blood. That's why they gave him some of the stuff.
If only bees in his blood is what they had chosen. Unfortunately, they did not. So his chronic flatulence would be so bad that he would have to immediately leave the table post-meal to go into another room and essentially endlessly fart. Can you imagine the attendant in Hitler's
politeness right there? That's politeness right there. Like, excuse me, give me like
I'm
5
gonna destroy this sitting room for just a minute, okay?
That's politeness, okay?
Oh my God.
Things to say about the Fuhrer.
But like taking the burg off, they're like hanging out. There is a fart room. Like, he goes to, can you imagine being the attendant to Hitler in the fart room? How does
have a towel ready?
How does one even decorate a fart room? I mean,
free
with flat, completely solid surfaces, so that nothing sinks in.
Right, there can be no
and like fans that push all the fans that push it all out the window. Just stand right here, Fuhrer, and you won't smell a thing.
It has to be the sitting room in a conventional, like 30s house, right? Because you got to throw the French windows open. You can have no cloth in that room.
At all.
At all. Like,
it
all
must be an empty ass room.
I mean,
you got to be able to Lysol. Oh my God. It is a bathroom with no toilet. It's distinctually a room where the Fuhrer goes to fart.
A solid tile room with just a fan for a window.
Exactly.
And an emergency pot too.
But do you realize that means, guys, that the Berghoff had an exclusive fart room. So
I want one.
Think about that. I would love to have one.
I mean,
2020's architects include a fart room in every house.
Based on the Berghoff design, because it was quite good from what I hear. So think about that. When you think about all the menace of Hitler, always think about the fact that this was a man that had to possess a fart room. So, you know.
I mean, he probably held one in at one point, and it traveled up his spine, and that's where all of his shitty ideas came from.
Oh, snap.
Threw it up, and the inner circle probably ate it as the ideas of the Fuhrer. So I'm gonna blame really quickly. We got so much funny shit to get through, and we've spent so much time on this already, which why I say it's not gonna be a mini-sode. So I'm going to blame a lot of his general fartdom on Hitler's weird diet, though.
Okay.
Because I'm not even going to give the little prick like an out with a legit illness. So, no, thank you. Oh, God. The Fuhrer gave up meat way back in 1931 as he was chomping down some ham. And he was like, oh, no, thank you. Eating this pork is like eating human flesh.
The fuck? It's nothing like that. Not that I would know what eating human flesh was like, but
technically, I have heard that is a potentially true statement.
What?
My
mind has just been blown.
I mean, that's the way the Dahmer Party pictures it and illustrates it. But I'm going to say a couple of things here.
Okay.
On that. One, how does he know if they are even comparable?
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me understandably worried about his World War I's like general service, right? Like, what was he doing in the trenches?
Hey,
like somebody got blown up. Oh my God! Ugh. Thank you, James.
Like, because he was really led to the belief that eating pork was like eating human flesh. He believed it. So I want to know at what point that experience was comparable to him. Two, if anyone would be into cannibalism, you'd think, well, sure, Hitler.
Wow. I mean, he's capable of anything, including cannibalism.
If somebody that murders 15 plus million people for fun and ethnic cleansing, you'd think he'd be like okay with eating flesh, right? Like,
apparently not.
You know, like Genghis Khan.
Apparently he does have rules.
It is what it is. So here's my third thing. Okay. What is the psychology behind thinking 15 million people are subhuman enough to murder them, but saving animals from consumption is like necessary? That's fucking rich.
Damn.
Maybe he was an early PETA person. I don't know.
God.
So, because of the time frame that we're talking about here, my mind didn't go consumption as in eating. My mind went consumption as in the disease, and I was like, wait, do animals can get consumption? It took me a minute.
Hitler also had TB, so that's interesting. No, we're not that adept, I promise, in our historical coverage. We really are.
It's kind of says something about him. He has a fart room but won't eat animals. Like, that's okay.
Because it my first and most pressing issue with that is because in Dahmer Party Tales and in that one soccer team in South America, I have heard that it is likened too much like eating pork. How does he know that?
Yeah, I didn't even know that. Why do y'all know that and I don't know that? I like pork. Wait, does that mean I like eating people?
No, you just haven't read enough horrifying tales from history,
okay.
I would say.
Okay.
It is what it is. But you're right. That's rich coming from Hitler, probably pronounced from his fart room. So anyway, Hitler.
Yeah.
Because somehow eating things that resembled human flesh was a step too far. Ate shitloads, sorry curse, of watery vegetables, which he pureed or mashed to a pulp. So like
these.
So he was the first juicer.
Essentially. And I want everybody to realize that, like, Gwyneth Paltrow can credit herself with inventing yoga all she wants. But when she peddles this shit to people in Goop, Hitler thought of it first, bitch. So, before you jump on that bullshit diet, food for thought, because you're all laughing at it when it's Hitler and you're all slopping it up when it's goddamn Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh my God, I'm dead.
For thought. Just saying.
I mean, I bet it did have like a goop-like consistency to it.
It 100% did. I assume that's where the magazine and the blog got its name. So,
and this was before or after the drugs?
Believe it or not, it was before the drugs. So he already was. This guy was already a few fries short of a Happy Meal. So let's go ahead and add drugs to that mix.
Okay.
Because that's going to help. So enter Dr. Theodore Morell, who soon became the Fuhrer's personal physician. Now, Morell was a grossly obese, like full-on quack doctor with chronic halitosis and body odor, namely because he hardly ever bathed. He found it to not be conducive to health or hygiene. So basically, let's go ahead and pop back to like 1600. That appears to be what this guy was operating off in medical terms, if you will. So, old Adolf, he met Morell at a party at the
Adolf. Sorry. Shut up, Jessica.
Both fucking die.
Hey,
Sorry,
we're all dying
curse.
together. Yay! Yay!
Whatever. At all. Met him at a party at the Bear Golf.
That rhymes.
And they get all like buddy, and Hitler invites Morel to give him like the one sofa after watching him eat one of his super weird meals, right? So back on track.
Do you think they bonded over their scent? Because like Hitler's constantly farting, Morel is just smelly as hell.
It's like the same smells. It's like, hey, you smell like I produce. Like what comes out of me, you smell like. We should be best friends.
It's like
they probably met in the fart room.
Whoa. 100%.
Oh my god. I almost spit my beer all over my computer. Oh my god.
Well, you don't notice the scent of your own scent, right? So, like, as he's in his fart cloud, he's like, what is this interesting new scent to, like, detract from my own fart cloud?
What is this alluring smell?
It smells so good.
I want
this
to
is my thing. Let's bottle it up and sell it.
I love that we all immediately go to like Hamilton's Gay Zorro for a German accent, and there was no hesitation from all of us. That's instantly like we immediately go. What's the chant from that? Oh, I can't even remember. I love Gay Zorro from Hamilton. What is it? Zorro the Gay Blade? Yeah, that's the name of it.
That's one of my favorite ones. That's my favorite one.
It is potentially troublesome and potentially offensive, but I know it. 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits a peso.
Yes! As soon as you started into it, I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. That is our German accent, and we have to say it's more appropriately our Nazi accent, and we immediately apologize to all of the German peoples because we really love you, and you guys seem to like us.
German, so hey, whatever. I'll own it. My mom's maiden name is Shite, so hey.
I would say that most of us are extremely German, just by the fact that we are Americans. American. Is what it is. There's nothing wrong with being German. God knows that plenty of Germans are now somehow neo-Nazis in America, and that's where we spectacularly live now. It is what it is.
Nothing wrong with being a German. Everything wrong with being a Nazi.
Yes. Here,
brother. Amen. So back on track. Morel watches Hitler eat his goop diet, right? And then joins him in the fart room to like sniff and study the effects.
What the fuck? I mean, curse. Oh my god.
What the fuck? Oh, sorry, curse, double curse. Like these people, and you can say that when it's Nazis. You can say those people. Like, sorry, you can't. Lots of people do dream journals. But this was the first entry in Morel's like pure fart journal, right? Like the very first entry. So
day number 367. Today I met the most glorious, stinkiest man, and we bonded.
Today I met Safior, and his thoughts was the most rank in all the land.
I have never smelled such a pungent aroma.
And I am in love.
It must be a sign of his inferiority as a human, or his inferiority, his personable airness as a human being. Oh, she smells so stinky. I loved all of them. I don't understand why you would keep an episodic journal of Hitler's farts. But this is our guide. Exactly what he did. It is beyond me. I was dying, you guys, like writing this. I'm keeping it together relatively today, talking about it. So, Morel notes in his fart journal that I can't even say these things. Constipations and colossal flatulence occurred on a scale that I have seldom encountered before. So
he had glorious farts and constipation. It was royally fucked. I can't even right now. You snorted! Yay!
At an infuriating scale. So, in essence, like, Hitler is being described as the human Hindenburg post-dinner party. Like, he would go to his fart room to be the docking of the Hindenburg, and it would end in fiery farts. Like,
I'm like crying again.
Let me go ahead and make you cry some more. So, you know that means that all his main ass sniffers, from like Himmler to Goebbels, had specifically designated within their own households fart rooms for this shit, right? Like, there's no way they couldn't have. The Fuhrer needed a. So imagine.
Oh God! So about it for just a second, one of the places that didn't have a fart room, he goes into a separate room, and that room just stinks for the rest of the day. Homeboy's wife walks in there. What the hell happened in here?
There's can't find the person that died.
He pooped everywhere.
Where is this? Who died? Way. Where is that? Is it in the plumbing?
If you walked into Heinrich Himmler's home in Berchtesgadens, down by the Berghof, there wasn't like a Hitler shit room. And that makes me magically happy that not one of those fucks, there's no way they could have, curse, that they could have gotten away with not having a Hitler fart hole.
Just imagine like this like 50-year-old house. Everything, the architecture looks exactly the same, and then you just look off to one side, and there's just like a tile room just like slapped onto one corner.
It was designed for Hitler's farts.
Exactly. It looks like a rest stop bathroom. It's just like slapped onto the side with like a vent cap out the top.
You need to go in and get the key to the bathroom outside.
I need
oh my God!
I need the key for the fart room.
I need the key
for my fart.
Hurry, it's coming out now. It's going to spread everywhere.
It's like all
I have so many tapestries. I don't want to ruin your room.
It's all windows. It looks like it's a greenhouse, but in reality, there are no plants in it. It's just tile and windows.
A fan. And one fan. Tile, fan, and a window.
A drain hole at the bottom with a rubber hose on the outside.
Because I want us all to consider that these twats from Himmler to Goebbels would have had to have a designated fart room.
You'd be like, hey, we're going to a party. Okay, can you please explain to them that I need a separate room for my farts?
You know what?
No, I will not go. I will not go. I will not go. I refuse.
They don't have a fart room? Oh, I can't be bothered.
I will not be bothered. It's no fart room. My farts must be contained. They must be jarred. They are precious. They are from the fjord. Yeah. Oh my God! Like, think about that.
Going to hell.
Think about that. A guy nicknamed like the Jew Hunter had to have a fucking room in his house designated for Hitler to fart in.
You can make a serious tourism and raise a lot of money from that shit. No pun intended.
That makes me happy that those cocksucker. No, I don't want to add that word because I love cocksuckers. I am one. That those douchebags. Well, no, that is negative to females as well. What those fuckers? And you know what?
Oh my God.
That's against open human sexuality. So you know what? I'm going to call them what they are. Those Nazi assholes had to literally, despite how scary they thought they were, have to designate a fart room for a little like tit to go in their house and shit on their
trying to go through it.
All I'm imagining right now is just an architectural digest from 1937. That's just like the number one new trend: fart rooms.
You need to be more restrained. Find a better word for it, because it needs to be more pristine and royal.
So many high ceilings, right? Oh my God.
It's like platform. It's like this platform you have to have a ticket for in order to read.
The Japanese drawing room.
Oh, yes!
Or a derriere dungeon. There you go.
Ooh, yeah.
You have to like have a pro-Hitler dog tag to be admitted to the fart room. Like and I want you all to realize that this would be very much how the inner circle of Nazi Germany worked. Like you would want to be in the fart room with the Fuhrer if he would allow you.
And no, it smells ass like. Guess what I did last night?
Guess what I did last night? I showed up at Google's house and I farted to death.
I was invited.
And we did it together.
Antechamber.
Glorious and stinky, but we did it together.
Glorious.
We held hands and we went 1, 2, 3. Oh.
Oh, God.
We're going to hell.
You know, I mean, if you think about it, though, he was in World War I. So maybe, like, this was his plan all along, is whenever he went back into battle, he would just bottle all the air from that room and use it as a gas bomb.
Oh, my God. I just got it.
I bet they were really mustardy farts, though.
How much you want to bet? Like, he was like,
I'm
taking
mustardy farts.
I did.
How much you want to bet he brought one of his friends in there? It was like, hey, come on, man, let's go release ourselves. And he died. And he was like, hey, I know how to kill a bunch of people.
No, but like, imagine this, but like bigger.
But like, you see this, but like 10 times the size and even more. Just bottle everything that I do from here on out. Every single
thing. Like, and dude, that's what it was. They didn't have a fan. It was just a vacuum tube. It was a vacuum tube going into a gas tank.
Oh my God.
Every time they were like, release the gas, Hitler would be like, I got you.
We are like,
don't worry, I got this one.
Oh, we're horrible.
Oh my God.
Oh, shit. This is exactly what I wanted to avoid. Oh my God.
I'm going to tell my mom not to listen to this episode.
Please. Your mother still has some respect for me. Hey guys, as per usual, this episode has gone too long. So we're going to break it up into 2 parts and we will be back at you next week. Enjoy.